Last time on Missing Stars, our hero Erik Wilhelm tried to communicate with his shy desk neighbor in maths. After initially giving up, he had a change of heart and tried again, succeeding in speaking with her through text messages, as she finds it difficult to talk. Her name is Annalise. Best Lady KATJA and Best Ladyboy Fran both congratulate Erik on his efforts, and Irene threatens to ruin his life if he acts like an asshole. Because why the hell not? Our story picks up as Erik is bored in class, awaiting the next opportunity to talk with Anna.
A bird is perched on the windowsill, pecking at the dust on the concrete. Hopping aimlessly to and fro, probably noticing me staring at it, it glances back and chirps a note in greeting. It's a bright, beautiful Thursday afternoon. The sky is nothing but a tranquil dome of blue, unmarred by clouds save for the faintest, silkiest wisps in its highest canopies. A warm breeze swirls underneath the trees' golden coats of foliage. The proud oaks and mahoganies that line the school's grounds, cobblestone paths shake their tender boughs to the wood's gentle tempo. The bird soon realizes the futility of its search and promptly spreads its wings, taken to the air not so much as a parting glance. Free, unfettered, how enviable. Meanwhile, I'm here, sitting in a suffocatingly hot classroom, waxing faux philosophical as sweat runs in rivers down my face, while having my hair sniffed. For some reason, I'd really rather not know. Is it Fran again? Of course it's fucking Fran! Fran, why are you sniffing my head? Strawberry shampoo. How delicate. Stop sniffing my hair. And that's a gift from my grandmother, okay? Be rude if I didn't use it even on occasion. On occasion, darling. Your hair has smelled like strawberries since your first day here. Maybe you should try grapefruit or watermelon. Honestly, it's getting boring. What the fuck? What the fuck, Fran? Well, maybe you should, stop sniffing? Huh? But where's the fun in that? Come on, do you have a disorder relating to chronic grumpiness? But I have to say, you're a very tenacious one, aren't you? A bit rough around the edges, but nothing that can't be worked on. What are you talking about now? Duh, Annalise, who else? Miss Quiet Face, the woman, the legend. Oh, right. Annalise, huh? I think Fran's right. I could really have gone about it more smoothly. Then again, at the time, there wasn't much of a way to communicate with her. It's not like she'll hear me under those headphones either. Besides, people don't keep their headphones on if they're interested in talking at all to start off with. I was just hoping... I don't really know what I was hoping for. Small talk, I guess? At this point, you've probably learned she's not the type to make small talk at all. It's just her thing, you know? Like how being gorgeous is my thing, and how using girly shampoo is your thing. We're not in a position to judge, is what I'm saying. Yeah, figured as much. I don't know, it just felt like the right thing to do. That's it, we should get out of this hellhole. I'm going out for a walk. Care to go? Yes! The small rivers of sweat on my face drowns out any objection I had. Without much argument, I mumble my agreement and slowly rise from my chair, holding on to Fran to make sure I don't stumble. Fran, stop sniffing my hair! There's worse company for a stroll than Fran, I guess. Besides, some fresh air would be good. I'd rather avoid getting roasted alive in this blast furnace of a room. Do they not have air conditioning over there? I know in some places in the Northeast they don't have air conditioning. At least they didn't years ago. Or something. I don't know. Man, what score did you get on that French quiz? 7 out of 10. Could be worse. Impressive. When do you figure we're going to learn French swear words? I've always wanted to curse in French. Of course he would. She would. Whatever. Huh? But why would you want to learn those? What sort of question is that? My god, are you hearing yourself? Why wouldn't... Exactly! Dude, Fran is my freaking spirit animal. I have a lot of spirit animals in this game, apparently. It's like slapping someone with a turd pie, except the pie was made by a 5-star chef. Thinking better than to continue this obviously pointless conversation, I simply roll my eyes and shift my gaze to the road ahead. Fran garbles on throughout the duration of the walk, leaping from topic to unrelated topic every other second, only pausing on occasion to bark out a laugh at their own latest witticism. I sigh in resignation. There's worse company, I repeat to myself. Suddenly, Fran tugs at the hem of my sleeve. I stop in my tracks and turn to them, only to find them with a finger on their lips and the other hand cupped behind an ear. Shh, hey, you hear that? I look around me, and sure enough, over the rustling sounds of leaves, I pick up a small group of voices a short distance away. They're faint, but I can clearly discern the anger in their tone. Before any protest can be made, Fran hauls me by the arm off the walkway and toward the direction of those voices. Dude, Fran and Irene seem like they would be, like, best buds. I'm surprised that we haven't, seen them hang out. I gulp. There's absolutely no way in hell this is going to be good. We duck behind the bushes. We catch a glimpse of a group of girls forming a circle around someone behind the grove. Sorry, you think we're gonna let you off with just that, huh, princess? Freakishly tall and sporting a build fit for a rugby player, not even taking into account that frightening, booming voice, the girl who just spoke completely blocked our view of their latest victim. Bullies in a school like this? Eva and her lackeys are at it again, huh? Shouldn't we get help? Fran just shrugs. Their face still has the signature air of nonchalance, but I can see streams of sweat crawling down their cheeks already. I think it'll be in our best interest to sod off immediately now. I don't know about you, but my curiosity's satisfied. I'd really rather she doesn't mark me as the one who ratted her out. Bad for business, after all. Besides, we don't even know that poor sap. We don't have to... Oh, no, it's Natalia, no. Must respect women. Let's please get along, yes? That's Natalia, isn't it? There's no mistaking that small voice and the thick accent. Even Fran slaps their face in dismay as recognition dawns on them. Well, fuck me in my big mouth. He's my fucking spirit animal. She, whatever. We really need to get a pronoun for gender-neutral people. Eva, I did not mean to ruin your phone. Oh, really? You hear that, girls? She didn't mean it. Well, that changes fuck all now, doesn't it? Oh, Jesus, 600 euros. Tomorrow morning. What? But I can't give away that lot of money to a stranger. I'll have to ask my father first. The girl named Eva cuts her off by stomping on the ground. Someone lets out a squeak. Let's assume it was Natalia, and totally not me. 600 euro in cash tomorrow morning. Well, the next little chat we'll be having here wouldn't be ending at just that. I definitely didn't sign up for this. But even so, I can't just sit here watching Natalia being harassed like that. I turn to Fran, who's already frozen to their spot, their face paler than I'd ever seen it before. Let's just say they won't exactly do well as a fount of reasonable advice right now. So, idiot me in high school would probably say I need to intervene. Sensible me, knowing that, I couldn't find my way out of a paper bag these days. Dude, get Lena! Get Lena! Lena could probably beat the shit out of Eva, I bet. Let's get Lena. Look at the size of those girls. There's the adrenaline-induced urge within me to just jump in there and try to intervene, but a stronger urge to not get pounded into a bloody pulp wins out. You know what? I agree with you. Let's get back up. A teacher, Ella, even Faber if I can find him. We can't possibly take out these girls and come out alive. We turn to go, but the first thing that greets my gaze behind me is a wisp of familiar strawberry blonde hair. Is it? Oh, okay, it's KATJA. As it happens, I don't think you'll require that right now. I can almost feel my panic evaporate at the sight of her. Eva turns to regard KATJA. Suffice to say, she doesn't look quite as relieved as I feel. KATJA. Please pardon my intrusion. I was just passing by. It's a marvelous day, isn't it? That gentle breeze blowing through the trees outside, the smell of the violets blooming. It's something to be appreciated in perfect natural silence, and I must say your rowdiness here is interfering with that. It pains me to see you haven't learned yet from last time, Evie. It ill behooves a student of this institution picking on the helpless. Eva takes a small step. Wow, Jesus. Damn! Apparently KATJA's freaking queen bee around here. Sweet. Looking at them now, she's still probably the taller one. Oh, wouldn't you just fuck off? She doesn't get to finish that sentence, not because KATJA does anything to her, at least nothing that I can see. She just glares at her, just stands there with her arms folded over her chest, looking at her with that one perfect brown eye. That language is beneath you, Eva. I suggest you do not shame yourself by continuing that sentence. She takes a tiny, graceful step forward, and Eva, almost like a dancing partner, steps back in perfect tandem. The big girl simply glares in silence as I try to gauge her reaction. Her face contorts into various strange, grotesque forms as she takes in KATJA's presence. Apprehension, tension, and maybe even fear? I would have liked to believe you're smart enough to learn from last time I found you like this. Smart enough, perhaps, to have learned that scaring off a new student would not be worth what would come to you for you in return. Eva, whose face has already gone through the spectrum from pink to red and then back to white, opens her mouth to reply, but the voice that comes has absolutely zero of its previous confidence. Shut up, I don't give a damn. One of KATJA's porcelain fingers taps once against her arm. I wouldn't even see it if I wasn't standing right beside her, but Eva looks like she just punched her in the stomach. Well, Jesus. I was not finished. Is she telekinetic? Does KATJA have psychic powers? I was not finished. You will wait, and you will not disturb me until I am finished. She takes another step forward. As I was saying, Eva, considering your illustrious history, I would, in your place, think very carefully about how I wish to proceed. I would also, while on the subject of manners, suggest you reconsider your language, not just when speaking to me, but when speaking to other people. Your language reflects on you. Now, Evie, was there something you wanted to say? Eva stands speechless against the very same wall she held up Natalia to until a moment ago. KATJA waits, patiently, her expression not changing one bit. Once an unbearably long minutes passed without Eva saying anything, KATJA smiles again. Magnificent, isn't it? How far calmer everything becomes. Could I trust you to try harder next time? Yes. Good. That's all, I think, that could be asked of you. Eva's stance stiffens. Her fist, I quickly notice, begins shaking at her sides. She clears her throat and takes a big lungful of air. This isn't over. KATJA's smile thins. It would most certainly look that way, yes. And what a shame would it be then, wouldn't it? Think how lonely you'd have it without me. Eva's practically fuming now, but can't bring herself to say anything. She just stares angrily at KATJA for about half a minute, rage simmering behind her pale blue eyes. With that, Eva beckons to her lackeys as she storms off, but not without a noticeable rush in her stride. The two other girls follow suit and try to catch up with her. Soon enough, there's only silence. Natalia lets out a big sigh of relief, still visibly shuddering. She wipes her eyes on the cuff of her sleeve. That was very close. Are you okay? Did they hurt you or anything? Oh, Erik! Fancy meeting you here. And no, they didn't hurt me, but they were very scary. They just dragged me off here and kept asking me for money. I was so nervous. She says that, but as usual, she has already bounced back to her old chipper old self. Does anything ever faze this girl? I can't give that much, though, of course. Sophia, she will be mad at me. So we all just arrived in time, then. Natalia's gaze meets KATJA's, and she blushes heavily. Taking a big gulp of air, she approaches her and grabs her hands. So again, thanks a lot back there, miss. I have no idea what they would have done if you hadn't come. You're very welcome. I'd have been a poor friend not to. She bows slightly, the same way she did with me, and gives Natalia a big, warm smile. I'm KATJA from Mr. Rosenstein's class, originally from Linz, Austria. It's a pleasure to meet you. Realizing the cue, Natalia collects herself and bows in greeting, a bit more sloppily than usual. Natalia Petrovna Volkova, from Miss Cowan's class. The honors with me, Miss KATJA. They shake hands, though you couldn't tell that, seeing how Natalia is practically yanking KATJA's arm off her shoulder in her excitement. Thanks again a lot back there, KATJA. I really have no idea what they would have done if you hadn't come. Don't worry yourself about it. As I've mentioned, none of these girls with their records could so much as afford to bother a pair of new students. I'd say you'd find this institution exceedingly harsh on violence of any form. Well, never really been that type of person myself. Naturally, nor is Miss Volkova, as it appears. Natalia's good. She nods. All the same, I would advise against confronting them soon, at least out of sight of a teacher. They'd be stupid to try anything, but with the right type of person in mind, that's far from what I'd call assurance. I expect her to laugh at her own joke, or at least acknowledge it. She doesn't, though. If anything, she looks genuinely thoughtful when she says it. Before you sounded like you've known each other. She turns her eye toward me, her expression softening once more into a calming smirk. As it happens, you get to know all kinds of people around here. What was it that you talked about? A private matter, I'm afraid. None that should interest you. Suffice to say, you wouldn't meet a student in this school who hasn't been down at least once. They may lie about it, or they may tell you that they don't care, and some might think it's fun to shove in other people's faces when it's their turn to trip and fall. Very few of them, however, would like it if you reminded them of back when it was their own. It's a big stone to throw in a glass house. I nod quietly. The way she took control of the situation was pretty amazing. I think a lot of it might just be how KATJA rolls. Hell yeah! At the same time, though, it's hard not to feel a little uncomfortable with what she said. I suppose in that light, she really was being considerate of Eva by not digging up all that dirty laundry right in front of us. Without even noticing it, my gaze passes over KATJA's bandaged wrists again. Oh shit. It's funny how much easier the eye patch is to forget about in comparison. I guess what she has said applies to her just the same. Not that I imagine anyone who'd dare to hold it against her. Definitely not after today's show. Is there any way I can repay you, Miss KATJA? I'm very, very thankful for your help, and how about dinner? What the fuck is going on with my voice? You can have dinner with us. My treat. Fran, you too. Sure enough, Fran has already crept up behind me. Oh geez, how can I say no to that? KATJA's features dim and form a mask of apology. I am grateful for the offer, but I'm afraid I must decline. I have made an appointment already with the choir girls, and I try to avoid going back on my promises, if possible. Not too long after that, though, her smile brightens, having come up with an alternative idea. Well, since it'll be a few more hours before dinner is served, how about you allow me to escort you to the girls' dormitories in the meantime, at least? That way you can get some well-deserved rest, and we can make sure those girls will not attempt anything else against you today. Natalia doesn't take long to mull this over as she jumps in excitement. Really, you will? That's wonderful! Wonderful indeed! Thank you so much. It's kind of weird. I have the vague attempt, the idea of an attempt at a Russian accent, and yet nowhere near does that actually come across in my voice. It's the pitch that I would have used if I was doing a Russian accent, but none of the actual inflections or pronunciations of it. Amazing. Well then, shall we be off? By your leave. Oh, yes. See you later. KATJA curtsies as she leads Natalia on the way out. I'm actually curious to see how much of this changes based on your actual choices that you make. Because I have the feeling that she would have shown up regardless of, what we chose. Fran and I just stand there watching them shrink into the distance. Well, it could have gone worse. Boy, the adrenaline really got me craving for something to eat. Maybe we can ask the cafeteria crew for some leftover falafel. Going with me? Sure, why not? Oh, goddammit. Oh yeah, right, there's Jean. I promised Jean I'd study with her after classes to help situate myself in the curriculum, and it's never good to be late to these things on your first day. Oh, come on, you can do better than that. Not kidding, I'm going to be late. I'll catch you later. Waving, I split away in the direction of the library. Honestly, I'd rather hang out with Fran just because she is hilarious. If you're not doing well in your studies, and this seems to be a very, very strict school, yeah, that's probably a good idea to do the tutor thing. After all that, with the bullies, I can feel every muscle tensed up within me. At this point, I'd rather just go home. Unfortunately, that's not happening. I promised to meet up with Jean now that classes are done. Sure, I'm looking forward to working with her, but the idea of doing more schoolwork after class makes me feel like bashing my head into a textbook. It's a necessary meeting, but I make my way in the door and... Lena! God damn it. Erik! What? I'm sorry, did I surprise you? It takes me a moment to phase back into reality. No, I'm being picked up. She nods her head. Conveniently enough, my inner thoughts seem to have summoned her. I just thought that since you're new here, you probably haven't been to the library yet. Hopefully I wasn't being too presumptuous. Not at all. I appreciate any assistance I can get. I mean, the fact that I need a tutor shows that I have a long way to go to adjust. I hope that doesn't come off as rude. There's nothing wrong with needing a tutor, and I'm glad that we were able to hang out. Though I definitely understand how weird things can get adjusting to a new school. I feel my file smoldering, and work extra hard to keep it up for Jean. Right. The library isn't far. You ready to head out? Sure, lead the way. I can't put my finger on it, but she's much different than when I first met her earlier in the week, probably because she's not bleeding. There's a distinct peppiness to her that is quite refreshing, especially after such a long day like this. Then again, she was dealing with a nosebleed before. See, told you. I'm a genius! Can't really blame her for that. Jean takes me around a few hallways and within moments brings me in front of the library's double doors. If the distinctive sign above them didn't give the location away, the musk of old books permeating the area definitely would. She really wasn't kidding on the library's location. There was barely enough time for me to formulate a conversation starter in my head before we were already walking through the main doors. Jean, now turning my way, begins to speak in hushed tones as we enter the room. Welcome to the library. It's probably one of the oldest places in the school. Plenty of old religious texts on the shelves to back that. This is also a popular after-school hangout for studying, friendly meetups, and of course catching up on one's reading material. I noticed various groups of students clustered around tables and chairs, either hard at work or quietly talking amongst themselves. Reading material that doesn't involve studying? A lot of people like a change of space when reading for fun. In fact, a lot of students are lounging around comfortably, holding novels in their hands. Oh hey, look, it's Hanukkah! I'm actually a little disappointed to be surprised by this, but the library feels like a normal space despite all its grandeur. Is it really that grand? The one issue I have with this game so far is that the art, contrasts way too starkly with the descriptions in the text in a lot of instances. You're going down a hallway that's white, the text says it's blue. This is not what I would call a very, grandiose library, but, whatever. Maybe they just don't have, access to assets to, reflect that, but then you should really adjust the script to, whatever. I was expecting something less fancy and more safe for students. There are some larger study areas in the back, just follow me. She even snaps her fingers quietly while in the library. Interesting. Jean leads me further and further into the library, the sound of turning pages fading only after we walk past the first couple of bookshelves. Soon enough, we arrive at a corner of the library that seems empty, save for one person scribbling in a notebook. Oh hey! We're back, Isolde. Isolde, another familiar face, tilts her head in Jean's direction. Yeah, because Isolde mentioned Jean before. Welcome back, Jean. She then turns back to her notebook, pauses, then faces me. Oh. Another pause. Hello, Erik. She greets me a little stiffly, but smiles nonetheless. I take that as a good sign. You two know each other already. Yeah, we ran into each other the other day while I was out for a walk. Not literally. Isolde nods in agreement. Some of the birds were scared away, but I remember them well enough to draw. She flips her notebook to one of the many bird sketches, pointing to one of them at the bottom of the page. From what I can see, it looks even more impressive than what I saw during our time in the woods. I guess she worked on it more after we returned to the main school campus. It looks great as always, Isolde. They both nod as if they were noting the weather, but the fact that she had sketched the rest of the bird from memory astounds me. I may be thinking too hard into this, but Isolde really is an amazing artist. Well, Jean shoots a glance my way. This saves us the trouble of introductions, then. She beckons for me to take a seat at the small table. Let's get started. Across from where they're sitting are two more identical empty seats for me to situate myself. I find the seat right across from Jean. After placing my bag to the seat next to me, she starts off the tutoring session. So what do you two need help with today? Isolde instantly raises her hand. I would like, a pause. A fairly long one. I'm not really sure. Do you want to look through your notes first, Isolde? That might give you a few ideas. Am I completely butchering the pronunciation of the name? Yes. I honestly don't know what it is. I decided to get moving things on my end too. Let's get moving things. Yes. In that case, I was wondering if you could help me with my science homework. Do you know much about science? Jean's eyes immediately light up. Science is my specialty. Hey, a lady after my own heart. She leans a lot closer to me as I reach toward my homework, her eyes eagerly darting to my worksheet. Which class are you taking? In fact, her entire upper body is now stretched across what the fuck? Her entire upper body is now stretched across... How the fuck does that work?
Let me see your homework.
Wow. Looks like she's really fired up about this. Yeah, she's taking the form of a fish on the table. What the fuck? Just physics. With Mr. Lover. Correct? Either there's only one physics professor, or she's really good at this. Yeah, that's him. He's a pretty good teacher, but... Isolde slaps down her notebook and enthusiastically points to a page densely covered in notes. I found it! From now on, I like her. From now on, I like all these characters. Oh my god, they're all so endearing in their own ways. From how loud she shouted, I'm pretty sure you could hear her from the other side of the school. Found what? She looks at me as if this was a ridiculous question. The homework I need help with. Hey, Isolde, we shouldn't shout in the library, remember? Oh! Her face, once beaming with excitement, now glows red as she sinks back into her chair. Sorry, I was just a little excited. You're okay. Just remember, we should always keep this space quiet for others. Jean shoots a glance my way as she starts reaching for the materials Isolde slammed down. Erik, do you mind waiting a little? This will only take a minute. Oh, sure, no problem. Jean turns back to Isolde's assignment, and I'm left to kill some time on my own. Despite Jean's assurance, I imagine this will take a while. I decide to pore over my notes instead, trying to get a start on my homework, a worksheet with some physics equations to solve. It's not too hard, but the kinds of equations in my notes just aren't matching up with the equations on the worksheet. Am I doing something wrong? I distractedly turn my attention back to Jean and Isolde. Just multiply this number here and you're all set. X equals 5. That was fast. Did Isolde manage to keep up with that? I glance over to her, and she seems to be smiling and nodding through all of it. Do you have any questions? No, I got it. No hesitation on her part either. A knot of apprehension forms in my stomach. Am I really about to compete with that level of efficiency without embarrassing myself? Okay, can you work through the problems we just did? I'll help out Erik in the meantime. Okay. Jean directs her attention at me. So, Erik, what questions do you have? Well, besides the obvious, how did you go over the worksheet problems at the speed of light, I did manage to find some things to go over. These equations I have in my notes aren't matching up on the worksheet. It's like the variables are switched around in my head. Oh, Mr. Lummer didn't go over how to solve for this specific equation yet? I vaguely recall something like that during the lecture the other day. Jean seems to take my hesitation as a no. With a knowing smile, she continues. In that case, I'll walk you through it. I nod hesitantly. However, despite my initial fears, Jean proves herself to be a fantastic tutor. She listens patiently as I talk her through my confusion, though is quick to jump in to explain a few of my misunderstandings when necessary. Every page of Dr. Lummer's worksheet begins to translate itself before my very eyes. Oh! Wow! How did I not catch that before? Jean makes quick work of every question I have. Yeah, just perform this function to a set of numbers and you're set. That's how mathematics works, typically. Ah, but you know what to do in order to solve for t, right? I return her smile with an enthusiastic grin and work out a particularly difficult problem. Here, I read it exactly how Jean explained it to me. Is this correct? You got it. Jean's reassuring presence does wonders to lift my spirits, and I can't help but feel a little proud of my work so far. Okay, how about we try something a little different? Unlike her earlier speed with Isolde, Jean takes her time, talking me through the rest of her worksheet, which after her intervention becomes a relatively simple task. I'm actually interested because I would have expected this tutoring session to just be kind of fade to black, like, oh yeah, whatever. But they're actually like going really into detail and like just really showing Jean's character with this. It's actually really pretty cool. She points out shortcuts and simple tricks she's learned during her classes and jots them down in my notebook as we go for later reference. Isolde seems awfully quiet during the entirety of this conversation, though I notice that she's already finished with her work. I guess that math problem was her only question. Finally, we finish up the worksheet just as the sun starts peeking through the curtains around us. Well, I think that's it. Newspaper club? Lena? Are we going to see Lena? I hope so. The moment feels good. It's nice to know that I'm not completely hopeless with this sort of thing. Plus, I'll finally have some free time this evening. So, Erik, was that helpful? Yeah, you really saved my skin there. Thanks a bunch, Jean. Oh no, it was nothing really. So you said earlier you're a fan of science subjects. Yes, I've been taking the highest level physics courses here. She beams brightly and proudly. What are you learning in there? Oh, lots of things, really. Today's lecture was discussing a few of Einstein's field equations. Seriously? They teach that in fucking high school? In Europe? God damn. I wish I went to high school in Europe. That's one of those things that costs an E in it, right? I continue to prove I'm not good with equations. Well, you aren't wrong. E equals mc squared is the most well-known relativity equation from him. Relativity. I probably won't go over those topics with Mr. Lummer in your class, though. Relativity and quantum mechanics, I believe, don't come up until the third. What the fucking shit? You go over quantum mechanics in high school? No wonder the US is so fucked up. Our education sucks. Jesus. Something exciting to look forward to, then. Honestly, I just hope I can pass this current class with no issues. I know, right? I really want to get into more interesting lectures about supersymmetry and particle physics, though. Both have amazing applications together, and with other fields. The sounding of the chapel bell halts Jean's scientific tirade. Oh, it's that late already? I'm sorry, I took a lot of time to get through everything with you. That being said, do you think you're upset, or would you like to meet up again this weekend? Her enthusiasm is a bit much to take in. Well... Oh shit! Oh fuck! Oh shit! Oh fuck! Oh god! Full screen! What the fuck happened to full screen? Shit! Save. Nah, I think I'm good. Feeling pretty confident after all this. I think I just need a good push in the right direction. I think I've got this down. Thanks for your help with this, though. I guess I still needed to get used to the course load here. Getting back into the whole school routine after being away from it all for most of the year is turning out to be a lot easier than I expected. Jean nods, but still looks a little disappointed by my response. Well, what the fuck you want? Are you sure you don't need any more help? I'm gonna fail, aren't I? Not right now, no. But maybe in the future? Okay. Well, we do see each other in physical education. If you ever need help, just ask me any questions you might have. That would be great. Thanks, Jean. Not a problem, Erik. Well, I'll see you later then. Sure thing. See the two of you later. I pick up my things and make my way back to the entrance. On my way past a few of the bookshelves, I can hear Isolde speak up. Goodbye. I awake from a dream-filled sleep and meaningless fragments of equations swirling in my mind for a few moments. A result of my brain allowing everything we went over yesterday to crystallize overnight, maybe. If those study sessions carry on like that, I'm pretty hopeful that I might just do okay here. Academically, at least. I hoist myself out of bed, buoyed by these relatively optimistic thoughts, and get ready for another day. God damn it, I want to see Lena again! She's the person I wanted to learn the most about, and I haven't seen her a single fucking time since the first thing. God damn it! I mean, KATJA's amazing. I'm really happy to have spent more time with her, and Fran is awesome. So it was great to see more of her. They even had more Irene, which was great because I love Irene. Irene's hilarious. Yeah, Irene and Fran seem like probably my favorite like non-route characters. Just because they're just so entertaining. Ow. I think I might have chipped a tooth with this thing. Why the fuck did I even buy this shit? Hey, you're a fancy bitch, but you... whatever. Anyway, what the fuck? On my way to biology, after an uneventful homeroom session, I spy a familiar face in the corridor outside Miss Karan's class. Or rather, a familiar back of head? Does English have a word for that? Hey, Annalise. Annalise turns, not looking quite as surprised, as at this point I'd come to expect. The corners of her mouth twitching, she raises her hand slightly in greeting. Do we share this class? She nods, looking a little amused. Aw, she's actually being more sociable. That's awesome. Hold on. What class is this? Biology. What? Oh yeah, he's only been here like a week, right? So yeah. Whatever. Yes. Yes, she nods, looking a little amused. Yeah, she'd be more sociable. That's adorable. Huh, I must have missed you on Tuesday. She shrugs. Arg, still a bit tricky communicating. I sent her a few messages over the past couple days, mainly about whatever music I was listening to while studying or doing homework, and it's clear that interacting like that comes much more naturally to Anna than trying to talk face to face. Yeah, some people are like that, totally. That's cool. It's a shame because we don't have much of a choice. Surely we can't keep on using our phones to communicate while we're right next to one another. It was sort of cute the first time around, but I can see it getting old. Looks like she might be having the same thoughts. Her expression is one of someone who's trying to figure out what to say next. She checks her phone, perhaps for the first time. I realize I'm not sure why she's standing outside the classroom rather than just sitting at her desk inside. It's only a few minutes until class and there are already a few others already inside, visible through the weird glass window in the door. Maybe the other people inside are exactly the reason for Anna's loitering. Come to think of it, but I wouldn't want to guess at something so potentially sensitive. With nothing better to say, I speak up. What are you waiting around outside for? She looks at me puzzlingly, as though to say, class hasn't started. Why would I go in? I guess she has a point that way. Classrooms are for class, but conversely, you can sit down in there. Still, I choose not to labor the point. Fair enough. Not sure what I'm saying that about exactly, but she seems to understand. There's a lot of guessing when it comes to communicating with Annalise. It's a very nice name, actually, Annalise. I think back to our text conversation yesterday, discussing music, as ever, while studying. What did you think of that new album in the end? She shrugs again, and then for a second or two appears to be thinking, perhaps of a way to convey a relatively complex thought entirely in simple gestures. She ought to learn sign language. That's actually a really good workaround. Holy shit. Oh, it spins. Oh shit! Eventually she relents, pulling out her phone. Well, if that's how it has to be, I don't mind. I grab mine too. Honestly, pretty great. Apparently the old lead leaving was a good thing. Who would have thought? I mean, the last album with him was pretty good, but this is something else. Oh yeah, I remember you telling me about how he fell out with the band. What was his name again? I don't remember actually, but I thought he was kind of a dick. Or not a dick. Just a bit pretentious. I don't know. I'll probably still listen to whatever solo stuff he does next though. He writes good lyrics. It's funny, when he was still in the band he seemed so integral, like he created their sound and wrote everything. But now it's like he was never there, totally unimportant. It occurs to me once again just how much of a contrast there is between in-person Anna and text Anna. In a way, it gets me a little down. On the other hand, if we can at least have a conversation like this, it can't be so bad. I like the fact that Erik is maturing so quickly in this. I mean, at first it was just like, facepalm, like through my freaking head. But he's showing so much like development so quickly getting over stigma, coming to be more empathetic, understanding of people in these situations and stuff. It's really cool. It's really cool to see. I'm enjoying this a lot. I laugh, both in response to what Anna said, texted, and my own thoughts. That's often how things are, isn't it? How do you mean? That you think something's really super important and you couldn't do without it until it's gone. Then you realize you'll be fine. You might even be better off than you were. True. But also sometimes it's the opposite and you don't know how much you needed something until it's gone. Yeah, I guess that's true too. Idioms are kind of dumb. Except when they're not. I laugh again. Except when they're not. There are exceptions to everything, why bother saying anything? Wow, so deep. I'm a little taken aback by that. I didn't expect Anna to be the sort to engage in banter, I guess? But still, I'm taken aback in a good way. It's nice to know she can relax a little. That's awesome. And she's adorable. Anna's expression changes abruptly. Oh shit, class started 2 minutes ago. Fuck! She grimaces as I check my watch. I totally forgot we were in school. How did we both miss the bell? She smiles slightly, but doesn't immediately reach for the door handle. Okay, we better go then. I'm starting to like her more and more, actually.